I'm your host, Emily Lauren Dick. Welcome to the Tame the Shame podcast, where we celebrate those shamelessly being themselves. We're here to inspire you to live a perfectly imperfect life, embrace the body you've got, and take back your power so you can live the life you want. Stick around if you want to listen to me get comfortably uncomfortable with all the things that make us feel ashamed. Welcome, everyone, to the Tame the Shame podcast show. Today, I'd like to welcome Lydia Sutherland, who is a singer and songwriter who just released a new song called Dressing Room. It is a beautiful song that sheds light on the challenges that so many women face today with body shame. Lydia, thanks so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
So before we learn a little bit more about the meaning behind your beautiful new song, I would love for you to tell us a little bit about your story and what brought you into the music world.
Well, I grew up around music. My grandparents were two musicians themselves. So I grew up around country music, like my favorites, Johnny Cash, Patsy Cline, Shania Twain, all the greats. And honestly, like I always wanted to like put on a show for my family. I was like, please sit down and listen to me sing Taylor Swift for like the 30th time this week. And to a certain extent, my grandfather was like, okay, enough is enough. Like sign her up for singing lessons, have her do shows to my mom. So that's how I was kind of introduced to music. And then when I was like 16 years old, I was in like high school and I don't know, I was just feeling things and I wasn't like every other teenager my age. Like I couldn't really relate to people and I also couldn't find songs to relate to. So that I started songwriting. I'd go to like the music room during lunch and I'd just write the songs that I needed to hear to make me feel normal. And that's still like my process nowadays, like writing songs. I write stuff that I don't know, I feel weird about and I think people should like normalize.
I love that. So right now you're living in Nashville, but you were born in Quebec or Quebec. What was it like making the move to follow your passion? And did you encounter anyone that tried to convince you not to pursue your dreams? What was the support like?
My mom is like my biggest fan. I will say I'm very, very lucky for that because I feel like having a very supportive parent is a game changer. She like believed in me when even I didn't. So she was fully supportive. The move to Nashville was weird once again because I'm close to my mom and I miss my friends, obviously, but I like was doing the back and forth Nashville, like Montreal for a while before moving, and I'd feel homesick from Nashville. It was so weird. I had like a community here, and my boyfriend also moved around the same time as me, like 2 weeks later, and we lived together. So I'm like very lucky. That made it much easier. But yeah, I did encounter people who were very discouraging. I guess like high school was the tough phase where people would be like, oh, look at this little gal trying to sing. And it was like kind of the idea of like a small town, right? I think everyone like works on a farm, which is lovely. I love farms, but like that's like kind of like the thing where like you're like, oh, she will do like a small town job. And some people love that. But I just, I don't know. I wanted to be, I don't know, speak my truth and write music and do different things. And it was very scary because I honestly believe other people's opinions more than mine. Sometimes I'm still in that phase of my life where I'm like, oh, if so-and-so says I can't do it, well, I probably can.
Oh yeah. I still think about the things in high school and I've been out of high school for a long time. So it's crazy how profound an effect that other people can have on us and what we think about ourselves. Yeah. How would you describe your style of music to our listeners?
I say like I love to call the genre banjo pop. I'm very pop for country, but too country for pop. So I'm just in the middle. I just write songs that I don't know, things that everyone thinks but doesn't say out loud. that's my style of music.
I love that. So your breakthrough song, Date a Friend, reached top 40 in Canada, which is amazing. And your single, Love Me, garnered a lot of attention before that moment. I really personally love that one because your lyrics are just so relatable. Talk to me about what it's like to share your insecurities through music.
Oh my gosh, it's so scary. I mean, like, I'm not scared of like the audience hearing it. It's more so the people I know. Like, I don't talk about these things with my friends. Maybe that's unhealthy. I don't know. I talk about it with my therapist. She loves that shit. But um I like I don't know. I don't really share these parts of myself because they make me feel awkward. So that's why I kind of like force myself to write them, because I know people need to hear certain things. Um, but it's really scary, but also it's like very, I don't know, refreshing, like receiving messages. Like for songs like Love Me, like that was a song that, everyone says like you have to love yourself before anybody else can. And maybe for some people, but also like to a certain point, like some people live with insecurity their whole lives. Does that mean they don't deserve love? Like, no, they probably need it more than the average person. So like, you know, it's cool. I'm very grateful. I have like I love writing and I'm somewhat good at it. So I can like write these songs.
That's amazing. I think that
Thank
music
you.
can be so therapeutic in dealing with the shame that we carry with us in our lives. How is your music
Yeah.
your therapy, but also how can it be therapy for other women?
I think like honestly, it just helps me understand my thoughts, or like it helps me normalize it in my own brain where I'm like, oh, I should not be feeling this way. I shouldn't be ashamed for feeling any sort of way, especially like, about my body and about like, the way I feel towards, I don't know, I have a song about like my boyfriend's exes being like, oh, they were hotter than me. I don't know, like stuff like that. Like these are all thoughts that like pass all of our brains. So that's kind of how it's therapeutic for me. It helps me process my feelings. And then for others, I think like just seeing someone struggle with the same things they are, I think that's how it's therapeutic. Like
Yeah.
we're all going through things and we're all normal. Like when I was younger and watching like these like huge stars, not that I'm a star, but when I was watching these huge stars, like, just like singing about breakups and stuff, I was like, this is cool, but like what I couldn't relate to that. I was just like, I want to hear like, about the dress you hated on yourself yesterday and you didn't go to the party because of it. It's like
Yes,
stuff
give me
like
the
that.
real. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think just seeing someone and hearing someone say it is therapeutic in itself.
Absolutely. So let's get to talking about your song Dressing Room. What inspired you to write it?
Oh my gosh. Well, I was actually like the opening line is like about H&M. I was actually in H&M. I was like shopping with one of my best friends in my hometown for like there's an award show in Canada called the CCMAs.
Yes.
And so I was shopping for the CCMAs. It was like my first time attending with my boyfriend, who's also a songwriter and a really hot man. So I was like, oh my gosh, like I want to look pretty. And I like stuff fit my body, but I just hated everything on myself. And that's very like, that's my body dysmorphia speaking, I know.
Mhm.
But I hated absolutely everything on my body. And it's been like that for as long as I can remember. So I just wrote in my notes, like, nothing breaks my heart like a dressing room. And I was like, this is a song concept. Do I think that the hook will be that? No. But then when I walked into the right with two, like my really good friends and co-writers, they were like, we are not changing that hook.
I love
Like,
it.
the way
Yeah.
you said it is the way it should be said. And I thought it was so weird of them to say, but I was like, sure, let's roll with it and see where it goes. But that's kind of the inspiration. It's literally that like battle against yourself when you're trying on clothes. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Why does nothing break your heart like a dressing room?
Well, I think like I lost a lot of weight. Like I lost over like 80 pounds. I was a, you know, pretty heavy child, and that's totally cool and all. But I think I lost weight in a very unhealthy way, with like eating disorders. And, I was losing weight because people were kind of like pushing me to, and,
Mhm.
putting me on diets and like, doctors were saying things to me, and I had like a dietitian that was like, don't do this, don't touch that. And then
Oh
like
my
it just
gosh.
made my food at like 12 years old like I had the most unhealthy relationship with food, and I didn't know what an eating disorder was at that age. I'm pretty sure I just found out what it was like 2 years ago when TikTok started. So thank God for TikTok in that sense. Um, but yeah, like it just made me like very unhealthy, like mentally. So I tried every diet and I was losing weight. And then I was working out like excessively and not eating. And it was just like a mix of those. Like I've been through waves, of every issue. And I still like struggle with it today. I mean, it's not something that just goes away overnight. It's gradual. But I think that is what breaks my heart about dressing rooms. It's really like emphasizes every flaw. Like there's like 5 mirrors around you
And the
showing
lighting
you
is never good.
the lighting is horrible. And then in one dressing room, you'll think you're hot as shit. And then the next one, you'll be like, the mirror was, like tweaked. I don't know. It's just weird. So that's kind of where the inspiration came from.
Amazing and so relatable. What are some of the things that you do now to handle your body image, to make yourself feel better, to get rid of the body shame or move through it at least?
Honestly, I'm still figuring it out as I go. Now it comes in waves. What I will say is it does get better, and I hated hearing that. But I like still feel shitty now and then, but it hasn't lasted 2 years and like 5 years, I think I'll like get ready or like, like I'll like do my makeup, do my hair. And then I love me like a baggy tee, and I love me like sweatpants and a crop top, like something you're comfy
Feel
in.
comfortable.
Like
Yeah.
feel comfortable. Don't dress up for others. Like, you can go anywhere nowadays in sweatpants. That's fashion. Be comfortable and don't be too hard on yourself. Just do whatever makes you feel good and just let it pass. That's kind of my thing where I'm like, I don't want to be hard on myself. I'm not going to not eat today. I'm just going to be normal and healthy, go for a walk, breathe it out.
I love that. Let it pass.
Yeah.
As a public figure, you've got to experience more pressure than the average woman. How do you protect yourself from the body shaming or even the self-scrutinizing that comes with having such a role?
I also am still figuring that out. It's so weird. I'm so new to being an artist. I'm a songwriter first, right? So I've been behind the scenes for a while. You hear everything. Like I will say, like the industry has no filter. It is disgusting.
Wow.
I think the way I handle it is I tell them am I allowed to swear on here?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for
it.
Okay.
I tell them to fuck off.
Good for
Honestly,
you.
I'm to that point now. I have an amazing team around me, and if my manager heard someone speak to me in any sort of way, he would probably tell them to fuck off right back. Like I surround myself with people who care about my mental health just as much as they care about everything else. Like
that's so good to hear. That's so good to hear.
And I do things for myself. I don't have to be an artist if I don't want to. If someday it gets too much for me, I don't have to do it. So that's kind of like my thought process where I'm like, protect myself, protect my energy. I'm speaking like my therapist. She's an icon.
Therapy helps too, right?
It really does. But yeah, I just do my thing and I try my best, and it hurts sometimes. Like, I get comments sometimes, like especially with songs like Dressing Room. I'm pointing out my flaws. So like people are like really mean, like they'll comment stuff and I'm like, what the hell? And like it hurts, like it does. Like I feel like the industry is like high school to me. Like it's like I'm surrounded by mean girls, and not just girls, it's mostly men. But it's like, I don't know. I pass by it. I've been through the shitty parts, I think. Like this to me is just like, just keep going. There's bad people everywhere.
I love it. And by speaking your truth, you're already changing the industry, right? It feels like only recently body image is becoming a topic that is discussed in music or songwriting. What do you hope listeners take away most from listening to songs like Dressing Room?
That it's like normal to not, feel great 24/7. It's okay to not like yourself some days. Like, everyone's going through the same thing. That was what I needed to hear. Like when I was going through it, I just wanted like someone to say like, yeah, life's shit and I kind of don't like myself right now. And that's totally fine, you know? And like, just take your time with it. There's no rush. Like, be yourself, literally. Like, it's so weird from an outside perspective. I think everyone is so pretty. I'm never like pointing out people's flaws.
Yeah.
But then when I sit with myself, like, I start to take myself for granted. So that's what I hope people like, hear in the songs. Like, you're a human being too. Like, speak to yourself like you are one.
I love that. Yeah, we can be our own worst critics. And
yeah,
I just feel like no one was talking about body image issues when I was growing up. We all just felt weird and hid the fact that we were struggling. So I'm so glad that the world has people like you to look up to now. Why is it so important that you keep writing stories about the real life things that you experience?
Man, I think it's because like at the end of the day, I it would be really heavy for me not to. That's my only way of like getting it out. Like I have a very hard time. Like I'm a songwriter, but I have a very hard time communicating. Like, I don't know. I just, I think that's why it's therapeutic for me, but also like it should be heard. It should be talked about. Like I'll like send like, my mom's songs and she'll be like, oh my God, I had no idea this happened or you felt this way because I'm so introverted. And sometimes we think our feelings don't matter. So we brush them off. But yeah, I think it just helps like everyone like understand what you're going through. And it's just such an easy way to like share and to, feel validated.
I love that. So tell us where we can find you online and check out more of your music.
Yes, you can find me everywhere. My username is Lydia Sutherland _, but you can find me at the damn _ You can find me just as Lydia Sutherland on all platforms.
Perfect. Amazing. And now before you go, if you could offer one tip to our listeners, what would that be?
Honestly, cry it out and don't be scared to like share your feelings with people. You'd be surprised how many people are going through the same thing as you. So find your crew and grow with them and rise with them.
I love that. You're amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And I wish you all the success because the world needs more women like you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at RealHappyDaughter. And remember that it takes immense courage to be yourself in a world that strives for conformity. So be brave and unleash your inner power.